Hi, I'm Stewart Spinks and welcome to episode 380 of my podcast, Beekeeping Short and Sweet. Well, we have a few weeks yet until the start of the new beekeeping season, but how can I make sure this year is as successful for my bees and me as I possibly can make it? Stay tuned to hear my thoughts and plans. Beekeeping Short and Sweet, a beekeeping podcast for the inquisitive beekeeper with a short attention span. A beekeeper, in fact, just like me. Hi everyone, and welcome to my upside-down office and workspace. You're probably aware by now that I'm moving my operation back home to the newly built home office and our old honey room in the back of the garage. It's been hard work, continues to be hard work. When is it anything other than hard work when you have a project to manage? But I'm enjoying the challenge now, especially as I'm feeling almost back to normal health. We have the office ready to move into, and as I sort this week's podcast, I'm at a kind of halfway position with some desks and some computer equipment set up, but with lots more equipment to bring back home. Hopefully, another week or two, we'll have it sorted and can start to settle things down in their rightful positions. I think that's going to take some time. As with beekeeping, if everything is in its rightful place and set to go, the time will be far more productive. Actually, the same can be said for staying fit and well. I really struggled to be productive when I was poorly, and exactly the same can be said for our honeybees. If our bees are not fit and well, free of pests and diseases, we can't really expect them to perform at their peak potential. Just hold that thought for a moment and we'll come back to that as it's part of my main podcast discussion for today. Before that, a couple of updates. Weather, of course, and the latest from our allotment apiary, which is full of 14 by 12 nukes and one solitary lonesome Langstroth nuke. Weather-wise, it's been rather changeable here in Norfolk. We've had rain, but we've also had some warming sunshine, and actually, that briefest moment of warmth allowed all of our colonies, both full-size and nukes, the opportunity to get out and about. A chance to stretch their wings, if that's a thing, grab a little exercise, a quick toilet break, and maybe a chance to gather some all-important water and possibly provisions for the hive. The appearance of hazel catkins and, latterly in the week, snowdrops really does make it feel like we may be seeing some small opportunities for our bees to grab some fresh pollen and nectar. Not that I'm suggesting we can all breathe a sigh of relief and forget that we're not yet into February. It's a tricky month, that February. Here in Norfolk, it can be as mild as any other winter month, such as December, but it can also be brutally cold. Well, brutally cold for East Anglia. Do you remember the beast from the east? That said, these little moments of warmth are most welcome and to be enjoyed if you can get into the apiary, perhaps around midday, and just spend a few minutes watching your bees. It was just such a lunchtime opportunity that I decided to dash over to the allotment apiary and check in on those colonies, and particularly the garage roof nuke. If you're not familiar with the garage roof nuke, might I nudge you over to my Patreon page to take a look at the Podcast Plus subscription tier, where you'll find all of my content, hundreds of beekeeping videos, and of course the podcast, all 7 years plus of weekly tips and techniques. Anyway, the garage roof nuke survives. That's the major news of the week, really. My double-skinned poly nuke effort seems to have helped them through so far that very cold first period of weather. It looks like they're surviving. Confession time here. I know you all like a good confession, so here it is. I forgot to take an eek so that I could add some food to them. I meant to pick up a feeder from the workshop so I could use it upside down as a cover for the fondant, but with so many things on my mind, I simply forgot. As luck would have it, the little nuke had more than enough food stores to be able to survive until I can get over to add some more food for them in due course, maybe next week. All of the 14 by 12 nukes were flying really well, and hefting those proved to be very positive too, as they all easily had enough stores for a few more weeks. I would even go as far to say I don't think that they'll need any additional fondant adding throughout February. And once we're into March, and if the weather plays ball, there will be more than enough forage for them to start building up again without further intervention. Elsewhere around the apiaries, everything's quiet. No sign of any woodpecker damage so far, bees out flying, and hives or nuke boxes feeling well resourced. By hefting, of course. Thankfully, I've no dramas to report, no challenges, no problems. Let's not talk them up though, and I'm still being vigilant and will continue to be vigilant until we hit that all-important spring growth phase of the season. That point in the season could be seen as the starting point of the active season ahead, but actually, while we've been fretting over our bees, they've been busy getting active earlier, hidden away inside their hives, working hard to build up as best they can in preparation for that visibly active part of the season that we as beekeepers see. And that is maybe the secret to a successful season. The bits we don't always see are possibly far more important in the development of a strong, healthy colony, ready to take on the active season from spring onwards. Of course, a lot of work has already been done prior to this spring activity. We, as beekeepers, I guess mostly, will have treated our bees in the autumn, maybe again over the Christmas or New Year period to knock back the Varroa population. Now I know that some of you are keeping your bees without any treatments, and it certainly seems to be working for you. Again, each to their own. Let's not criticise, but instead try to understand why and just keep bees as we want, treatment or not. Hopefully, everyone's bees have enjoyed a quiet winter and are now beginning to sense the longer day length, and brood nests are expanding accordingly. So, a successful season has to start with healthy bees. As I said earlier, if I'm feeling rubbish, you're not going to get the very best out of me compared to a fully fighting fit Stewart. Hopefully, that's plainly obvious to everyone. Of course, a successful season isn't going to look the same for every beekeeper. We'll each have, hopefully, some plans for the 2026 season and what we all want to achieve. It may be you're focusing on honey production from just 3 hives, or it could be honey production from 300 hives. Here, it's very simple to do a comparison. Kilograms of honey per hive is a simple enough metric to use, but actually, what if you want a specific type of honey, maybe blackberry honey? Whenever I've targeted wild brambles for honey, and it's been successful, it's still not as productive in quantity terms as borage, for instance. In quality terms, and from a personal perspective, I would say bramble honey beats borage honey hands down. From a flavour perspective, it's my favourite. So I guess I'm going to be a little bit biased here. We'll still target borage, but not at the expense of the brambles. Success for you might be getting your first nucleus colony through a full season and ready for the winter of 26-27. I know I'm jumping ahead here, but you might just be beginning your beekeeping journey. Maybe success is establishing a top bar hive or maintaining a healthy colony after a local outbreak of a serious disease. I could simply list target after target here. There's probably a different goal for as many beekeepers as we have in the UK. Well, maybe as many. I'll keep banging the drum for making a plan for the season, and don't find yourself suffering from beekeeper peer pressure to do something you really don't want to do. For most, it's a hobby, and a hobby should give you pleasure. I've set several targets for the year, and I'm happy to share those with you. They're not set in stone. I'll have no issues or feel embarrassed if I have to change them. Let's face it, the weather alone here in the UK is enough to have plans rewritten over and over again. I'm aiming to set up 50 production colonies for this year, just 50 production colonies. Now, I say just 50. Remember, I have had almost 200 production colonies at our peak expansion, but we're pulling it back to just 50 so that I can manage them. This, along with the borage pollination, should give us around, if we're lucky, 2,000 kilos of honey, but we need to get them healthy, large, and prevent them from swarming. That's more than enough honey for my stockists and local direct sales, with some left over for a rainy day. I'm heavily into the production of nucleus colonies right now. We're geared up to produce 14x12s and Langstroth nukes. And we do have a little capacity to produce nukes in other size, should a request come in. But just to clarify, when I say I'm heavily into nuke production right now, I don't mean in the month of January. I mean that for the last season and the seasons to come, we're planning to produce more nukes and have the equipment ready to go, with more on its way actually to help us continue to increase nuke production. I thought I ought to just point that out so that there's no confusion. We're not inspecting or doing anything with our bees right now. I'm also planning another season of queen rearing using the Nico captive queen system, the little cage. And yes, for those of you wondering, I am going to try out the John Harding system one final time. And if it looks like it's going to cause me challenges, I'll switch to a hopelessly queenless colony system instead. Or maybe the cloakboard system, which I do favour. Just to add, sometimes the trickiest part of the season is that reproductive phase, or swarming for most beekeepers. Here the season can potentially be won or lost, depending on the management of that period in the season and whether you lose a swarm or not. If you lose an early swarm, it's not necessarily the end of the season, but it does make spring less productive than it otherwise might be. If you need to, read up about the various methods of swarm management, or better still, do that and take a look at the numerous videos that I've published over the years showing how we manage that particular time of the year. Finally today, I'm also leading several courses in collaboration with Thorn Beehives at their site in Rugby, Lincolnshire, which I'm really excited about. We have the Beginner's Introduction to Beekeeping course that I delivered last year and turned out to be really well received and oversubscribed, so we're putting on a couple of more sessions for this year. I'm also delivering a Next Steps session. This course will be an introduction to swarm management and honey production aimed at beekeepers maybe entering their first or second full year of beekeeping, or actually anyone that wants a refresher. Then we have an introduction to swarm control, an obvious title, and a great session for anyone looking to manage that all-important reproductive phase in the spring. And finally, a queen rearing basics course. And on this course you'll learn about producing queens from your own colonies, selection methods, techniques and timetabling, the various steps that are required, some simple methods of queen rearing that beginner beekeepers should easily be able to use to develop their own queens, even if they've only got one hive. And these include the artificial swarm, simple splits, the Miller and Alley methods, and then selecting parent colonies, starter colonies, finisher colonies, mating nukes, and much more. All in all, some really useful information, I hope, in each of those courses, designed for whatever level of experience you have. All of that is going to keep me pretty busy, especially when you add in the regular videos and podcasts that I'll be making available through all of our Patreon subscription tiers, including the free one, so do look out for those. If I can hit all of those goals, it will indeed be a successful season for me. But what are your goals for the year? What will you be aiming to do with your beekeeping in 2026? There are so many options available to beekeepers, we really are spoilt for choice. Maybe it's education, Are you working hard for your BBKA Master Beekeepers qualification? Or maybe it's the first steps into education via the basic assessment. Either way, these are really important goals for the individual beekeeper. Perhaps you're dipping your toe into queen rearing techniques for the first time. Whatever it is you're looking to do, look forward to it and find pleasure in everything that you do. And when the beekeeping doesn't quite work out, put it down to experience and start over. A successful season is one that moves your beekeeping forward, and that includes the failures, because those are the most valuable experiences. I do hope you've got some great plans for beekeeping in the coming season, and I wish you every success for this 2026 year. Well, that's it for this week. More of the ongoing change in location and the journey through these winter weeks as we head forward. But for all of you who haven't yet signed up to my Patreon page, I, together with Steph, have been creating beekeeping content for many years now. And if you're looking for some straightforward, down-to-earth tips and techniques, help and advice, then do take a look at my Patreon page. We have over 1,700 individual beekeeping posts, videos and podcasts filled with useful and timely help and advice. My approach is pragmatic and calm, sometimes entertaining, but always with help and support for the beekeepers at the heart of what I do. I keep my videos short and concise wherever possible, no waffle, no flannel, just honest beekeeping advice from years of keeping bees. Take a look and join me for the new 2026 beekeeping season. It'll cost you less than a jar of honey, and you never know, there may be something there that will help improve your beekeeping. Check us out online at www.patreon.com/Norfolk Honey.